you're one person away from lifetimes of income.
First and foremost, my audience, we know a lot of real estate agents, investors, a lot in the newer side of things, right? Maybe they're in the business for a few short years. They're struggling to make more than 100 grand, maybe 200. And they're looking to scale to be you one day. And I'm just curious, what do you think is like the biggest mistake that a lot of the people who are just getting started in the first few years in business as an agent or an investor, what do you think they're making? Like, what are those big mistakes?
Yeah, I think the biggest mistake an agent is making, there's two. The first one is, are you mentoring with a higher level agent that was once rookie of the year that's absolutely killing it, or are you really just trying to figure it out on your own?
Okay.
Like, you want to put some time in with experts. The other mistake is agents aren't investors. And once you become an investor, you become passionate about real estate at a very different level. Agents, if you're just working with, people that are trying to do, get into a primary residence, that's one deal. When you actually start working with investors because you are an investor, that's when they come back and they do repeat deals. Like, imagine being my agent and it's like, oh, that's only a couple thousand deals, right? Guys like me exist, and even small versions of me exist, and you have to be on the investor side to actually, compel them. And if you're not an investor yourself, you're gonna have a very difficult time compelling them that you're gonna help stock their portfolio with the right kind of product.
Yeah, so let's continue with that. So like being an agent for somebody like you, what is a way that an agent that's more investment minded, right? They like the word, they like this, what it sounds like to get to be an investor. They want to work with people like yourself. How can people that are an agent be of value to people like you as an investor?
First thing is, you've got to know your lingo for the investor talk. When I do a deal, I'm gonna purchase a property based on ROI. And there are 4 ROIs that I calculate to know if I want to participate in a deal. There's the appreciation ROI, which means you need to know that market and what the historic appreciation rates are. And I need to also see that I can trust you that you're not going to inflate the numbers and say, wow, last year was 10%. Let's assume this next year's also 10 or 12. I'm like, no, take the numbers. By the way, buy some core logic data, be 20% conservative, but show me what that appreciation ROI is. Number 2, give me a realistic cash on cash ROI. Number 3, give me a principal reduction ROI. My tenants, I'm outsourcing them to pay off the house for me. There's an ROI. You should be able to calculate that. And then finally, there's a tax advantage ROI. And if you assume that I'm in a 20% tax bracket, you should be able to tell me what that is. Now, when you add those 4 numbers up and you put them on a pro forma, now you've caught my attention. You've probably done 80 or 90% of the convincing that I definitely want you to be my agent.
Yeah, I feel like I see this all the time, and I'm sure you hear it even more than me, where these agents basically just give you an address and go, what do you think?
Yeah, they give you an address and they're like, you tell me if it's a good deal. I think it's a good deal because I get a commission if I tell you that. But ultimately, that's on you to tell me. I'm like, actually, if you really want to be of service to me, why don't you pull some data and some numbers and a compelling argument that shows me the kind of money I could make on this deal? Now, when you do that, now you've separated yourself from everyone else. Now you're not just a walking, dumb, stupid MLS.
I love it. Talking it straight. I'm from Jersey, so that's exactly how I speak. So I'm curious, like, look, I went from the residential side doing mostly focused on investment sales, just like, individuals like yourself, built it up to 100 transactions a year, and I got burnt out as an agent.
Yeah.
And I focused more mainly, and as my investors grew up in the business, they started doing larger deals, so I got more into the commercial side. So the last half decade, I've been doing more on the commercial side. What do you see happening in the markets over the next year, 2 or 3, especially with all the craziness going on in the world?
Well, first of all, there's a lot of people that don't know that you can actually scale single family. I created a name for myself by scaling 6,000 single family homes, $2 billion in real estate, because most people said it was so hard. Instead, you got to graduate and go to the big stuff. Just know that that's not always the case. In fact, a lot of people, before they go bigger, they're going to build a portfolio of 20, 30, or even 50 homes. And so I think there's a very valuable niche there. Now, as far as where the market is headed for the next decade, single family is going to be the hottest space. No space in real estate will compare. Like multifamily, right now it's on the outs. It's overbuilt. Single family, we're missing 6.2 million homes.
Yep.
So single family, you're going to see as rates now, as the Fed is calling an emergency rate cut meeting in September, and they've got potentially up to 2 more rate cuts before the end of the year, you're going to see those rates come down. Zillow was just posting 5.9%. And if rates get under 5.25%, that is where we're going to move the needle, where renters are going to say, oh, it's actually cheaper for me to buy than actually rent. That's going to drive the price of real estate through the roof again. So single family is definitely a place not to ignore. Multifamily, I think it's overrated right now. And
for sure.
Right now it's overbuilt. You're going to see that. And commercial is tricky. You got to work with people that are really creative and know their stuff, because half of commercial is awful and half of commercial is amazing. And it's just because that market is
ever changing.
Mm-hmm.
2 quick things real fast. I want to also talk about your event. You're speaking at an event. I've also been following Cody for quite some time. So I wanted to talk about that. So again, people can go to chris.cleversummit.com to get their tickets.
Clever Summit is happening in Hollywood, Florida, right outside of Miami, September 13th, 14th, and 15th. There's going to be a huge yacht party the day before. We're going to have 2,000 to 3,000 real estate investors there. And we've got Patrick Bet-David, Ryan Serhant, Cody Sperber, Pace Morby, and a number of other speakers that are going to take the stage. And what they're doing is they're getting everyone ready for the next multi-million-dollar play on how you become a multimillionaire in real estate based on what's happening in the economy. Because the next 18 to 24 months are going to be juicy and fortunes are going to be made. So Clever Summit is really designed to help people understand where are we at in the market cycle, where are the opportunities at, and how do you crush it? And the biggest part of that, Henry, is it's the deal making that happens in the hallways. Like, imagine, like, this is a highly qualified group of people. Cody's spending over $1 million to put on this event. He's going to have sophisticated and savvy investors. There will definitely be some newbies there as well. But, you know, Pace was telling me that when he went to Clever in 2022, he made over $3 million on a dozen different deals that he did with people he met in the hallways. So if you're an investor and you're trying to figure out how to play a bigger game, you need to increase your net worth by increasing your network, by meeting the people. So yeah, get with the experts, but you know what? It's time to, like, it's not COVID anymore. Like, go shake hands, greet, meet people that are actually making things happen. They got money, or they got deals, or they got strategic alliances. And that's where you go to make deals happen.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, it was the best money I've ever spent. You know, I'm a 2-time college dropout, and the best money I ever spent was going to events just like the Clever Summit and meeting these people, shaking hands, and going to learn from people just like yourself.
Well, and I've been doing it myself. I put on 3-day events. I'm actually co-opting this one with Cody, and I've got this strategy for how I've made millions of dollars. And it literally is, go find an event where you've got really qualified real estate investors and business opportunity minded people, and then just go network and find the people that resonate. Like, if you believe there's a God and you believe that God has a designed path for you, then for you to be on your path, there's people you need to meet. And this is where you go to meet the people that are movers and shakers and causing it to happen. My strategy, my whole life has been every quarter, I go to an event for 3 days like this. I take 40 notes on what I need to implement, and then I try to meet 10 strategic people that I'm going to do business with. And that has made me millions and millions of dollars. That's a winning strategy.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, it's funny how it's like a lot of the simple stuff, just like going to an event, shaking some hands, meeting some amazing people that can absolutely change your life.
Well, most people, like, we've all heard that we become financially the average of the 5 people we hang out with. And so it's like, I hang out with my wife, I hang out with like 2 or 3 of our friends. And the reality is we're all kind of in the same, you know, socioeconomic status. I'm like, a decade from now, I can predict exactly where you're going to be. And it's really where you are with maybe a little bit of growth. But the people that change their stars, what they do is they add millionaires and multimillionaires to their Rolodex. They start hanging out with people that are up to really big things. And the weird thing is, Henry, we don't even make money just because we network with these people. We don't just make money because we do deals with them. I make far more money just because I'm inspired by hanging around them. Like, I was in Miami last week and hanging out with my friends that sold their company for $1.6 billion. They're up to such big things that when I connect with them and talk with them, I always leave insanely motivated and inspired for my next big play.
You know, I was just hanging out with a good friend of mine also, like on Venetian here in Miami. And it's like anytime, the guy's worth about 800 million. And he talks about, you know, his journey in creating that, being in the investment space. And it's interesting how it's like a few small things over time created that, where he's probably done, I think, 150 deals, obviously pretty large deals over time. But he's like 5 to 10 of them have really made the majority of his wealth. And the fact that he's been doing it for 55 years and it's all been compounded, right? So it's like, it's just amazing how it's just like, you know, we all think it's going to be this one thing.
No, but it's actually just, you know, I'll never forget, I was at Tony Robbins' house when he said this. He said, Chris, you're one person away from lifetimes of income. And the question is, where do you meet these people? You meet them where you've got synergy and energy. Cody Sperber puts on the biggest real estate event of the year. Like, there's a lot of events with like 1,000 people or 200 or 300 people. But Cody, because he puts the money out there for attracting superstars, and he puts on huge parties while we're out there. Like, he hired Sickick and some of the top DJs, and he's renting out a nightclub, and like, he goes all out to basically make sure that the networking is top tier. So right now, people have been on hold for the last 2 years with higher rates at 8%. And where rates are headed right now and what's happening in the economy, and especially with the supply demand issue, what we're going to see right now is that real estate's going to be rising crazily. And you got to meet the people. Like, I'm one of those guys that if you meet and I partner with you, dude, my average ROI year over year for the last 10 years is 60. By the way, that's a factual number on 2,130 deals. Most people are like, Forbes says that the average investor makes like 10% a year on their real estate deals. I'm doing 60%, 6 times that. So, but there's guys like me everywhere at that event that are killing it. So you come out to meet us. I'm looking to meet people, and then we put our noggins together, and then we cause deals to happen. Then people get rich. Like, just hands down, that's how it happens.
Yeah. So tell real quick, because I want you to talk about the deals that you look for. Because I mean, I got a huge audience that's looking to bring you deals. What kind of single family deals are you guys looking for these days?
So my strategy is I'll invest in like the top 5 markets around the country. Okay. And in those markets, my specialty is I look for these 3 to 4 bedroom homes. They're often new builds. They're purchased below the median. They're in markets where huge economies have like come in, large companies that are hiring 5, 10, 15,000 people. And it's creating these microclimates of major booms where my affordable house is $200,000 or $300,000 and it's going to be going up to like $400,000 or $500,000. And so it's a little bit like, oh, I wish I could predict and go into like LA 1980 when I could buy real estate for $100,000 that today is worth $1 million. I look for those markets and I hang out there for 5 to 7 years, and then I sell all my inventory, and then I triple, quadruple my portfolio, and I just do it all over again. So those entry-level homes, that's where I'm getting my highest ROIs.
Well, would you mind sharing the markets that you're really focused on right now?
Yeah, so right now I'm in Central Florida. Okay. There's markets around Ocala that are very interesting to me. I'm in Alabama. I'm in Memphis. I'm in Oklahoma City. Those are Jonesboro. Those are the markets right now where I'm still buying homes on average between $190,000 to $260,000. And based on what's happening in those local economies, those homes should be selling for $300,000 on up. So I'm basically getting in early. I'm going to park it there for a few short years. I'm going to rent those homes. I'm going to watch those prices skyrocket. And then when I sell them, I'm going to triple my portfolio. That's a simple strategy. I'm going to be talking about that strategy back on stage, by the way, at the event. I'm going to be sharing a very simple formula that I've used on 6,000 deals, about $2 billion in real estate, that has been able to perform at those ROIs and make anyone that has like a 401k or an IRA. Dude, you got to be feeling like such a loser right now with the stock market, the NASDAQ dropping 1,000 points. And it's like, this thing was supposed to be safe, 4 and 5%. And literally I lose 10%, 2 trillion evaporates from the market like that. It's so frustrating for people. I'm saying, get out of that. Stop doing that. You've got to take your money. You've got to move it out of 401ks and IRAs or even equity in your home. And you've got to put it into something like, maybe you're not doing 60% like me, but I'll show you how to do 25 to 30% on your own. And that's going to make you literally 25 to 35 times more money over 20 years than anything else. You get to retire a multimillionaire instead of just having a few $100,000, at retirement.
I'm curious, like when you're speaking to somebody, again, as a real estate agent, and where I coach many real estate agents, the biggest problem is that they never have any cash. They're always check to check. I want to be part of the movement that stops that, because I feel like it's like the funniest thing in the world. It's like you're inches from the greatest investment of all time, and you never can get into it. And it's like, because they're too focused on getting their next commission check. So I'm curious, is one of the, if you're speaking to a real estate agent, are you recommending that they roll their commission into a deal for their first one, or should they start off wholesaling? Should they start off just broke? Like, where do you think they get started in the investment world here?
First of all, if you're going to be in real estate, then you should own real estate. So the first thing that you actually got to start with is a house hack. And so like my very first house, I came up with a 3% down payment. That's bankrolling a commission for sure. Go buy a house. Now, by the way, I bought a house below market. I bought it with equity. I bought it with a basement that I rented that basically covered my mortgage. If you're single, go get some roommates. Have other people buy real estate for you. It's the motto of my life. Have other people buy real estate for you. Then I used the equity in the first house. I pulled it out a year later, and I used it to buy my second house. That was the second deal I ever did. Bought the house $90,000 below market. It was a foreclosure. Yes, foreclosures are coming back right now. And then I rented it out and I had a $600 a month positive cash flow. I sold that house years later, made $130,000 on it, but not before harvesting a ton of money and refinancing out of it to go build a portfolio. Because in 4 years, I basically turned my initial $3,300 that was a down payment on my first baby little small house. And I turned that into $1.6 million over 4.5 years. Get in the game, buy a house. If you own a house, move out and go buy another one if all you can afford is a 3% down payment, because now you have 2 houses, and that technically makes you an investor. And it will change your confidence. It will change the way that you speak. It will change the way that you show up. It's another reason for going to the Clever Investor Summit, just because you're going to learn all the different strategies from the top real estate experts that are out there today making money. And they're going to give you the hacks like I'm giving you right now that will get you in the game. Something changes, by the way, when you get 3 deals. When you do your first one, people are skeptical. Oh, you're a realtor. Like, oh, I hope that works out for you. You do your second deal and people are like, oh, you got lucky. But you do your third deal, people get FOMO. And they're like, you're onto something and you figured something out. The easiest way to do that is by getting in the game.
And I'm curious, so, in the single family world, obviously I agree, there's so much freaking opportunity right now where there's just so much fear, and especially in Florida right now. it's interesting where you see prices getting slashed nonstop. I mean, like now you're seeing price cuts of 5, 10, sometimes even 20+%. When you're looking from your lens, is there something that you're waiting for, or you're just are you trying to buy right now? Like what's the strategy?
Henry, it's probably the last question that I can be answering right now before I got to bounce. I really appreciate our time here together. In real estate, if you're dealing with investors, focus on ROI. It doesn't matter if the market is going up, down, or sideways. I'm always buying real estate. And realtors need to understand that savvy real estate investors, if they're like, oh, I'm waiting for the market to shift, I'm waiting for rates to come down, those aren't the droids you're looking for. Those are fake investors. Those are wannabes. Go find real investors, because if the deal is there and the ROI is there, they're going to pull the trigger every single time. And again, I would just be focusing on investors, period, just because why would you cultivate a relationship with 10 primary buyers that you may never see or hear from ever again, except for maybe 10% of them, when you work with an investor and one investor will take down 10 deals? An investor like me will take down 2,000 deals.
Chris, thank you so much for being on. Again, for everyone listening, I guess go to chris.cleversummit.com. You said it was from the 13th, 14th, and 15th of September?
Yep, it's September 13th, 14th, 15th, Hollywood, Florida. Me and the top 20 real estate experts are going to be there speaking, and more importantly, get in the game to connect with the winners and the experts that are causing deals to happen, because I became rich in 4 years. You go to an event like this, you get the right game plan, and it doesn't take very long to literally get on top of your game. It's not a 30-year game. It's not a 40-year game. It's a now game. But you got to get in the room. You got to pay to get in the room to get with the right people. So go to KRIS.cleverinvestor.com, grab a ticket. They're going fast. Like half the tickets are already gone. I'm trying to get Cody to get another yacht. I think Dr. Dre is going to donate his yacht to Cody, owes him a favor, because the first yacht is totally full. And I'm like, not cool. We've got to get another yacht because the parties in between and the pre-parties are going to be just really dope for anyone that really wants to get out there and network and meet the movers and shakers. So Henry, man, I appreciate you. Thank you for your time.
Likewise.
And let's do it again. I hope to see you there in September.
Yeah, likewise, man. I'll see you there.